Hello, my name is Danny Coleman, and I am a member of the Hamilton Cultural Affairs and Performing Arts Advisory Commission. I am one of the multitude of commissioners that we have on the Arts Commission, and this is part of our weekly series, our monthly series, our monthly series where we feature different spots, different types of the arts. We've already had Tom Kelly with the importance of collecting art. We had Renee, our commissioner, last month with the music. And this month, I'm going to do a segment with my friend here. He is, like me, a musician. He is a one-man playwright, theater guy. Yeah. And he is an author of not one, but two books. So, you know what? Say hello, everybody, to Danny Rongo. Hello, Danny. Always a pleasure, man.
Danny, thank you. Hello, everybody.
Always
Danny,
a pleasure to see you.
Thank you. It's always a blast to be with you, my friend. Thanks for having me.
Well, first off, thank you so much for doing this for the residents of Hamilton Township. For me, Danny and I go back probably 10 or 12 years as I am the host of Rock on Radio. And Danny, being a musician, bass guitarist, has come on my program multiple times. So I have to, in order of full disclosure, there's a familiarity here. Yeah. But we'll get to your new book in a second. Mm-hmm. But your first book was called
I Am God and So Are You, My Friend, The Common Man's Guide to Oneness.
To Oneness. Now,
yes.
You are a big oneness guy.
Yeah.
So, well, tell our viewers, tell them what your concept of oneness is.
Well, it's the state of being completely united with someone or with something. It's a passion of mine that's been driving me since probably like my early 20s, to be quite honest with you. So I'm going on some 30-odd years here, focusing on oneness. It always started out, it was part of my songs as a musician, as Danny alluded to. All of my lyrics always had that kind of content about it. So as I evolved within that spirituality over time, it just grew and grew and grew beyond my songs to, over the last 3 and 4 years, I actually took my lyrics and themes, I actually was able to put it into the play that you were alluding to as well. And that was called The Phone Call. It's a musical
right.
to inspire oneness. And from that came the book that I just referenced, which was published through Balboa Press. And I've been touting that over the last 3 years. That all came about in the early part of 2018.
Okay, 2018. So I know you, and I know, your lovely wife, Andrea, and I know...
She says hello, by the way, sends her regards.
Send my regards to her as well. But I know you as an individual, and I know because you're a busy man, and you were a very busy man. At what point, what clicked up here and you said, hey, you know what, I'm going to write a book?
Yeah, well, actually, it was more of a prayer, Danny. Because at that time, in the early part of 2018, I lost my mom. My mom passed. She was battling some illnesses for the better part of a good year. And that was during the play that I performed throughout Jersey. And again, thank you for coming to see it, what you did at the Middletown Arts Center.
Middletown Arts Center,
yeah. So after the play, I was able to perform it on Broadway. That was the fall of 2017, and then it came to early 2018. And that's when my mom passed. And I remember just, like within myself, within my prayers to her daily, nightly, just always talk with my mom, which I still do, obviously. I remember hearing her voice because I was like saying to her or asking her, like, Mom, where do I go next with this? What's next? And I heard her, because she always called me Daniel's son, Danny. She always said, Daniel's son, that's my mom. So she said, Daniel's son, you need a book. So, like, that was instant. And then from then, I was just flooded with inspiration. And the book pretty much came to me easily, to say the least, Dan. And so I was writing it for the better part of 5 or 6 months. When I was done, I started to shop it. I wound up again. I had a contract from Balboa Press, and they put the book out. It's still available everywhere, by the way. And
Like where?
you can get it in any bookstore, online, Barnes & Noble, Amazon. You just got to look up either Danny Rongo, folks, or I'm also known as That Oneness Guy.
Now, which is your Twitter?
Which is my tag, yeah.
Right. Your social media, That
Yeah.
Oneness Guy.
Yeah.
And, LinkedIn, I know, right? You use that. Tell everybody how that felt. First time you walked into Barnes and Noble,
Yeah.
and like, hey, that's me.
Well, I'll be honest with you. It was as excited as I was to see, our CDs on shelves and stuff like that. I remember I walked into the one right by where we live in Freehold, Barnes and Noble. I was with my wife during the day, and so I'm scouring through like self-help, because I wasn't sure where they were going to like pop me, because different stores have it on different areas, self-help or self-growth. You never know where it's going to be. So I was going through like self-help sections, and I'm looking, I'm going on, and then I saw it like, I'm like, I don't know, maybe like the third shelf from the bottom, and I just really just like filled my heart with so much pride and like a sense of accomplishment that I know was definitely from the inspiration from my mom. So it was really gratifying, to say the least, to see it on a bookstore shelf like that.
Right. Good for you. And it inspired you to write a second one.
Yeah.
Which you have, but it's only available on Kindle?
On Kindle right now, correct,
Okay.
yes. And this was total different inspiration. As all of us were going through this exact time last year is when our world, as we all know, started to shut down and lock down. And I remember sitting back and just from hearing so much, Danny, about what's going on. And at that time, I was still, I'll say, mistakenly watching news programs, which I have stopped since then. That's a whole nother story. We don't need to go there. But just from seeing so much out there, and at that same time, I was still heavily involved with social media, which I stopped at that point as well, too. For these reasons, there was just so much banter, so much like rhetoric about who's right and who's wrong about this thing called coronavirus and how's it going to affect it. So I knew that I had to come to a place within my heart that I actually said to myself, how am I going to get through this? How am I going to navigate through this? So that was the idea. So between doing my own soul searching, and as soon as I came to a peaceful way for myself to navigate it, Danny, I said, all right, well, this journey of ours, as you know, is not about us. It's about what we give and how we serve and how we give back, as you do so eloquently every day of your life. And thank you, by the way. I applaud everything that you stand for.
You're too kind.
No, I'm not too kind, folks. You know him. He's a great individual. But after I realized how I wanted to get through it, I said, all right, I can now teach and, tell my version of how I'm getting through it. But then as I started to make some postings and emails about how we can get through the virus and any kind of pandemic or any crisis, if you may, that we face, I said, why stop there? Why don't I use this as a format on not just how to navigate a pandemic, but how to navigate life? So the bells and whistles went off, folks, and I started thinking, I started writing. Obviously, I was home with nothing to do for the better part of 6 months. My school was shut down. I wasn't playing anywhere, as we talked about.
You're a teacher as well.
Yeah, well, I'm a teacher's aide. I work as a paraprofessional. I have a student of mine. But, so I was home for all this time. So, Danny, again, the inspiration buddy just started coming to me, and I started to put down my ideas. So I focused on the most important aspects of our lives. Everything from money, family, choices, death, fear, ego, love, duality. You know what I mean? There's about 4 or 5 more. I have 12 solid chapters of it. So I broke them all down, and then I started to apply how we can navigate through that. And then from there is how I came up with the title. I use my like GPS's, the Waze, GPS Waze, but they spell it W-A-Z-E. I didn't want to infringe upon any kind of copyright, Dan.
Yeah.
As you know, that's taboo. You can't do that. So I decided to spell the word W-A-Y-Z, and I made it the Ways of Oneness, helping to navigate life. So that's my new books, folks. And like Danny said, it is available now in a Kindle format, so you can find it on Amazon Kindle, and it's available right now as we speak, while I'm still shopping different publishing contracts, which I'll have a hard copy book as well, too.
Fantastic. Now, have you, again, you're a musician.
Yes, sir.
And the thing about Danny is, I actually had a guest on Rock on Radio recently who said, oh yeah, we found our bass player playing solo gigs, but all he played was the bass. He didn't know how to. Can you imagine somebody just doing nothing but a night of just the bass guitar? I said,
Yeah.
yes we can.
Yes, we can.
Because that's what you do. Now,
I know a guy.
right, we all know how difficult it can be as a songwriter to write a song.
Yeah.
And anybody I've ever spoken to, they always say that the quickest 5 minutes, a 5-minute song, or the ones that, or their best, and other people struggle.
Yeah.
How tough was it to write not one, but now a second book? I mean, did you ever get frustrated, walk away? And what advice do you have for people like you who just said, you know what, I want to write a book?
Follow your intuition. Follow your intuition. If you have any kind of internal nudge, an internal voice speaking to you, I always say this to my friends, that when we talk to God, Danny, it's called prayer, right? But when I ask people, okay, what is it when your God, whatever your God may be, responds back to you? And they go, well, isn't that prayer too? I go, no, that's intuition. Because we as spiritual beings, when we get messages from our higher source, again, it doesn't matter what we call it, because we don't want to label anything, because that's how we negate anything or anyone's God, per se. But when we get messages back, or information back, or guidance back, it comes in that form. It comes in the form of intuition. So I always say you have to be perceptive to those intuitive feelings that we get, folks. And that's the only advice that I can give, because both of my books were totally from inspiration, one from my mother, one from COVID when it first started. I was inspired to find my way to navigate through it. And once I did, I knew that I had to give that out to humanity, to say, this helped me get through it, this can help you. So my advice would be, stay receptive to your gut. Listen to it, because that's your higher source, man, coming back to you and saying, don't make a left here, make a right here. We've all felt it at different times, but we tend to cast that stuff aside, thinking that it's just coincidence.
Okay.
You know better. You know it is.
Yes.
We get nudges for a reason.
You're right. You're right. Well, you brought along. These are, if we can see that, these were the Oneness bands that you had.
Thank you.
And you are also a very big, you're a very big supporter of veterans charities.
Yes.
You have a Rock the Vets event. You want to talk about that before
Sure. Back in
before we wrap it up?
Absolutely. Thank you, brother. Back in 2017, me and my wife's nephew, Darren DeMarco, great singer-songwriter, by the way, we started Rock the Vets as a venue to, not a venue, but as a fundraiser, to just support immediate groups for veterans, meaning that when a veteran doesn't have a place to sleep that night or a meal that day, we really support these immediate response groups, is what I should call them. So we put together Rock the Vets. We had 3 great events, 2017, 2018, 2019. Last year, we know what happened.
Imagine that.
We didn't have one last year. But with that said, my friends, we are back. In fact, Darren just secured our next date, which is going to be October 9th. It's going to be at the Clinton Elks. So Rock the Vets is back on. We always highlight some of Jersey's amazing bands. We have dozens of hundreds of fabulous musicians and entertainers and bands in this state, and we get to choose from some of them too. But it's a great cause. I always say, folks, I wrote a song called "Say Thank You to a Veteran" for a reason. Reach out, shake their hand. That's always been very near and dear to my heart because they don't get the help they need.
That's true. All right, name of the books again, or?
The name of the book is "The Ways of Oneness: Helping to Navigate Life."
There you go. And you can be found. How we get in touch with Danny Roundtable?
You can find me at thatonenessguy.com is my website. You can find me on Twitter as That Oneness Guy. Just look up That Oneness Guy on Twitter and Instagram, and I'm there. But please come in, come say hello. Everything is up on the website again too, thatonenessguy.com. I'd love to meet everybody.
There you go. Well, Danny, thank you, man. Thank you so much, buddy.
Brother, you're the best.
Greatly appreciate it. Danny Rongo, once again, I'm Danny Coleman. I'm a commissioner on the Hamilton Cultural Affairs and Performing Arts Advisory Commission. I hope you, the residents of Hamilton Township, get out, support the arts, support your local musicians, support your visual artists, your theaters, your musicians, everybody. Again, thank you all for watching this and tuning in, and have a good night. And one bis.
Yes. Thank you.